Welcome to this training on how to build successful teams for group work. I'm Philip Mark Mobley and I'll be your guide. As teachers, we are always looking for activities that will help our students learn more effectively. One of the most effective tools that we can implement is creating learning opportunities for students to work together in groups. From both a theoretical and research-based standpoint, the evidence points to the necessity of social learning in our classrooms. The temptation as a teacher can be to create an assignment that involves social learning, divide the students up into teams, then sit back and watch the magic happen. However, in this video, I will demonstrate that this is an insufficient approach which will result in less learning. Next, I will illustrate the core principles for creating learning teams in your classroom. Finally, I will offer some practical suggestions to implement those principles. Let's get started. In the comments section below, there are links that allow you to jump to the section of the video that interests you. Teamwork is not an automatic consequence of belonging to a team. There are significant interpersonal barriers to teamwork. The problem begins with our conception of a team. There is a difference between belonging to a team and functioning as a team. When we think of teams, we often think of sports teams. Our favorite football, baseball, or basketball team might come to mind. However, a team that you construct in your classroom has major differences between themselves and the 2021 Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs spent months studying and practicing together in order to function as a team when the circumstances required it. Your students don't have that advantage. Another example is professional basketball players from the National Basketball Association, the NBA. Many people have pointed to these players as the greatest overall athletes in the world. Yet, the 2004 United States Olympic team, composed of these great athletes, failed to win an Olympic gold medal, settling for the bronze, winning only 5 of their 8 games. How is it possible that a team consisting of LeBron James, Tim Duncan, Allen Iverson, and a host of other Hall of Fame level players lost games to teams from Puerto Rico, Lithuania, and Argentina? The USA team was a collection of great players who were brought together to play in the Olympics. The others were national teams that practiced together extensively. In other words, the teamwork employed by Puerto Rico, Lithuania, and Argentina was more effective than the individual skills of the NBA players. Teamwork triumphs skills every time. Our classroom groups have much more in common with the 2004 USA basketball team than with the well-practiced teams that defeated them. They are familiar with one another, familiar with their work, personalities, and capabilities, but they are not familiar with how to work together with them in a team or a group. Working together with other people in a group is not innate. It is a skill that requires development. And it is a skill that is in demand by employers. However, the consensus is that students do not develop collaborative skills during their formal education. So, how do we develop teams? Or, better yet, how do teams develop? In 1965, psychologist Bruce Tuckman posited 4 stages of group development to reach effective collaboration. Based on further research, he later added a 5th stage to the model to explain the full life cycle of a group. Those stages are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. The forming stage is when a group first comes together. The new group members are excited by the possibilities, but they are also cautious about their contributions because they're anxious about how they will be perceived within the group. The storming stage is denoted by frustration, criticism, and conflict. The group may not be moving toward its goals at the anticipated pace. Interpersonal disagreements about responsibilities, roles, or goals may arise. The norming stage is characterized by the initial resolution of these conflicts. Goals are updated, roles are more clearly defined, acceptance of the membership and variety of opinions within the group increases. The members of the group are beginning to sense a feeling of belonging. The stage is now set for the group to perform. Acceptance of the various strengths and weaknesses of the members and a growing attachment to the group results in more freely shared insights. The group makes progress toward its goal. Adjourning is the stage that describes the dissolution of the group and the attendant mourning of its members. This may include a sense of loss of something valuable as well as anxiety about the future. It is imperative to note that not every team progresses through these stages. These steps are not foreordained. Many groups never coalesce into the performing stage. It is our job as facilitators to create the environment so that groups have the best chance to attain their purpose. So, what are the key principles for groups to progress through the stages? One of the pillars of constructivism is that students learn to learn as they learn. Developing the skills for effective collaboration should be part of your objectives and practice. It will prepare them for their post-education career. So, what are the key principles for groups to progress through the stages? These principles divide into two groups: the task environment and the emotional environment. The task environment refers to the matrix of factors that allow the group to do its best work. The three key factors are goal definition, goal composition, and tool availability. Effective groups have a well-designed team task. Lack of clarity can derail teams from reaching the performing stage. As the facilitator and instructor, this is your first and most important task: providing the team with a clear goal and a map to reach it. The composition of a group can make or break the team's outcomes. Your insight into the skills and personalities can help students form effective teams. Of course, students should grow into making these choices on their own as their collaborative skills increase. This also includes the assignment of specific roles within the group, as we will see later. Next, making sure that the group has the necessary access to the tools and information they need to reach the goal is key. Lack of accessibility to information, resources, and rewards makes the team powerless, leads to frustration, and stalls the group out before they reach the performing stage. As the instructor, this is the significant groundwork that you must do before launching a group project. Our level of preparation can make or break a collaborative effort. Once the group begins, the emotional environment becomes the most important issue for you to facilitate to have effective teams. Of course, these principles must be a part of the lived experience of your classroom to be integrated into new group work. The students will reproduce what you have modeled as the leader. Collaboration requires open communication and mutual respect in order to produce good collective decision-making. Most students will not feel safe enough to immediately propose bold ideas. Speaking up risks humiliation, which is psychologically dangerous for the student and inhibits learning. In order to progress to the performing stage, the group members must overcome this fear. This can be reduced to two principles: psychological safety and a willingness to fail. Psychological safety is an environment where the student feels safe to take risks, admit failure, discuss problems, and ask for help. It is impossible for a group to reach the performing stage without an environment of psychological safety. Willingness to fail is an environment where learners are not afraid or embarrassed to share contradictory thoughts. Without the willingness to disagree and risk failure, students will reach a safe consensus that doesn't create the synergy intended to be achieved by group work. The magic of collaboration happens when students bring varied viewpoints together to help each other see the problem in a way that they could never see it alone. They will only do that if the threat to their emotional well-being is reduced. The stress of threat reduces our ability to learn. So, how can we help to create this environment? First, it must be something that you model in your classroom every day. Our groups will be more effective if we make it safe to take risks, admit failure, discuss problems, and ask for help without the threat of being penalized or punished. One strategy to create psychological safety is to appoint a leader in each group whose job is to create that environment. They draw input from each member, ask questions, and enforce classroom norms that promote safety. An extension of this tactic is to create roles for everyone in the group: leader, idea generator, devil's advocate, fact checker, etc. This reduces threat because a student is not risking their own thoughts, but playing an assigned role. A strategy to make it safe for students to fail is to reframe failure as learning. Design thinking encourages participants to fail fast and fail often, reframing failure as the process of learning instead of attempting to get it right on the first try. A possible implementation is to add failed attempts to the assignment assessment, with the more failed attempts receiving a higher score. The students will be encouraged to try new ideas and will learn that failure is not final. Collaboration is a learned skill. It is not enough to create group opportunities. We must equip our students with the tools they need to collaborate effectively. It's an important tool that will help them thrive personally and professionally.